Hello, everyone. My name is Martin from Finance Oracle. I am here again today to share with you another very important tip from the Middle East. So today I'm going to be sharing with you an update from the GCC. And this update today is to bring to your realization the capacity of jobs in the GCC. I want you to understand the very reason why you may need to be considering GCC as your employment-based location. So if you're planning to travel out of your country and you're not too sure about where to go, or your all in your mind has been about Australia, Canada, and maybe New Zealand, today I want to tell you you may have to consider GCC, and I want you to see the potential of GCC and the reason why you may consider it. So I'm bringing you updates, and this update is strictly based on research, and it is very important you follow up from beginning to the end. I may not talk much today about how to find a job. If you want to know how to find a job, then I've made previous video on employment-based migration to Qatar. I've said a lot about how to find a job. So you can also consider employment-based immigration to the GCC. Those will help you. I will still make some videos on how to find a job, but today I want to expatiate on the potentials of the GCC. The GCC is expected to record an increase in the number of new jobs opportunity in the fourth quarter of this year because companies are preparing to build their team for 2024. The companies believe that the best time to employ for the next year is the last quarter. And a lot of companies have already prepared to build up their team for the year which is coming because the financial year itself has begun. So in the next few weeks, the next few days, a lot of companies are going to be employing, and you need to take advantage of this time as it may take you a little more time to get a job. I want to give you some statistics. Job creation in this region, in the Middle East itself, in Gulf countries, increased by 5% in the third quarter. So you can imagine, in the last quarter which just ended, job in GCC increased by 5% compared to second quarter when it decreased by 3%. So you can see the difference. The UAE recorded 9% growth in new jobs in the last quarter. So only the UAE got a whole 9% growth. Just until September 30, they had 9% growth in the last quarter. And that was after a drop in the previous quarter, which is the second quarter. And this was followed by Kuwait, which recorded 2%, in the new jobs, and Qatar also recorded 1% in new jobs. But Saudi Arabia did not have any change. It was constant. What they had in second quarter was what they had in third quarter. They didn't talk about Bahrain and Oman, but then these are the countries which we have looked at, and this is the increment they had in job opportunities. So you can see in third quarter there was no decrease. There was rather increments in the number of jobs and percentage of jobs which were available. So the fourth quarter also is going to be having a more higher percentage increment because companies just will have to finalize employment before January. The job market in the UAE, which is the Arab world's second largest economy, of course after Saudi Arabia, has recorded well since at the end of pandemic. They've been having growth. They've been driven by fiscal and social measures, measures which are introduced by the government. So since then, even after the pandemic, when many countries are going down, they've been recording increments. The UAE have been recording increments. So you can imagine that. Most companies in the UAE plan to hire more employees during the remaining part of this year. And wages also are expected to grow by about 2% by the end of this 2023. So you see, while they're employing, they're also increasing salaries. Not just for the UAE, but salaries across the GCC region as a whole are expected to rise by an average of 5%. And this is irrespective of the number of people they intend to hire. Also, the industries in the GCC that recorded big jump, we want to look at them in hiring in the third quarter are: one, real estate. Real estate hired a lot of people in the third quarter. The sales and marketing division, the human resource, the legal sector, cybersecurity, supply chain, and finance. These are industries that hire so much. Of course, there are a lot of real estate projects going on in the Middle East. The Middle East is becoming like one of the real estate hub. A lot of engineering projects also going on. So these sectors were at the top of the list of those who hired a lot of people in the last quarter. So that means that in the third quarter, that means that in the last quarter, which is the fourth quarter, these people will likely also top the list. New job growth for GCC real estate sectors, soared by 9% compared to 8% in the second quarter. By the way, 8% was not bad, right? But by third quarter, they went to 9%. So which means real estate is the biggest role player. And in this last quarter, they may also go to 12%, as indications are showing. But then we'll have to see the result at the end of the analysis at the end of the year. So now if you look at it, so if you're looking for a job in the real estate, it means that you have high potential. If you're looking at it for a job in the Middle East in sales and marketing, you have high potential. Even in HR, I'm surprised. Legal, cybersecurity. So those are all big chances for you. Then of course, supply chain and finance. Again, there is a very strong need in the UAE and Saudi Arabia, particularly professionals across a broad range of skills, such as, for example, design, development, project management, engineers, finance experts, asset management, sales, and others. So, across GCC, but in particular, UAE and Saudi Arabia, they're going to be employing a lot of people in designs, development, project management. They are investing much on real estate. Engineers, in particular, civil engineers, building engineers, and other engineering field anyway. Finance experts, asset management, sales, etc. So I'm talking about people who have education qualification. Also be aware that we also have those who do not have education qualification, who are well skilled. So the skilled workers also are another sector. Another sector is the skilled worker. But I'm not going to be talking about the skilled worker today. So the GCC recorded about 6% increase in the number of new positions in sales and marketing sector across the area. So you can look at it, 6% for sales and marketing, which means after real estate, the next was sales and marketing. So if you're a salesperson, if you're a marketer, if you're whatever kind of sales engineer, pharmaceutical sales representative, medical representative, whatever you are, you stand a great chance to get a job in the Middle East. And again, the hospitality and tourism sector also seeing a lot of movement from, sales and marketing professional relocating to the GCC. So a lot of people relocated and there were a lot of opportunities. And people are leaving Europe and other places to the GCC where they believe they could easily find a job and they got the jobs. That means also for those who are in tourism and hospitality management, GCC, the Middle East is a great place for you. And this is due to the ambitious, tourism projects and infrastructure development, which is being which is happening around GCC. You remember I talked to you about the Neom City. The Neom City is a very great project in the tourism industry across the world, and it's happening in Saudi Arabia and across some other countries like Jordan and I think Yemen and somewhere. Also, the HR jobs, they got about 5% increase. So the HR department, the HR sector, had a lot of increase in jobs. So you can imagine, the least place you could think of. And the next was cybersecurity, which had about 4% increase in new jobs. And professionals which were started mostly in cybersecurity were professionals from threat assessment, digital forensic, and incident response. There were a lot of shortage in this area, which they filled the gap, and 4% increase was there in the last quarter. And within the technological sector, which is like digital, data, and AI, they had 3% increment in the new jobs. You can bear with me that everything now happening in the world is gearing to AI. They had about 3%, and there is a demand for professionals, particularly across mid-management and individual contributor positions like data analysis, data engineers, data scientists, cloud engineers, and AI/machine learning engineers, especially in Saudi Arabia itself. Saudi Arabia mainly. So, you see? Similarly, also, there was a 3% growth in opportunities in the GCC banking sectors. So the banking industry was not left behind. They had 3% increment as well. And that was a great one for the banking sector also. In fact, I know a few friends who got into the bank in Middle East. So the region strategic market also recorded 2% growth in new employment opportunities. And these are like transportation projects, for example, in Saudi Arabia, mainly, which involve infrastructure development and master planning around aviation, port and maritime sectors, So this area got about 2% growth because there was a heavy project, or there is a heavy project going on in Saudi Arabia. So you can see it cut across every industries. And lastly is Qatar and Saudi Arabia remain actually top priority for consulting firm, which because they've actually, for consulting firms, Qatar and Saudi Arabia remain the top priority. And again, Qatar and Saudi Arabia also have given this last quarter as the deadline for companies operating in their countries to move their headquarters to Qatar. So this is also good news. If you are thinking of relocating to either of these places, then you may be thinking of Saudi Arabia or Qatar, because a lot of companies are going to bring their headquarters and activities will boom more within these areas. The investment industry also registered about 2% increase in new jobs growth, reflecting a slowdown in summer but still active. And investment across in Saudi Arabia and UAE were like the biggest. There were a lot of investment in Saudi Arabia, there were a lot of investment in the UAE. And a lot of international talent, especially investment bankers from Europe, are very keen to explore all these opportunities, within the region. So it is important for you to know that if you're thinking of relocating abroad, Middle East is a great place to consider. The reason is because they have a lot of job potentials, where in the Europe, they are -4, 14%, 18%, 20% in the America and all that. Here we are having about +9%, +8%, +2% and all that. So that reflects the potential of the place. And that that will show you that if you're here, you may hardly talk about unemployment, where unemployment is soaring in Europe. So, sometimes people have just think that, the Middle East or the Gulf countries are out of it. But to be honest with you, if you come closer then, or if you research, you realize that it's one of the best places to think about or to work in. So I encourage you to take advantage of employment that will be happening in the next few days, next few weeks. If you procrastinate, you are going to miss it. You're going to get missing. You're going to lose out. From today, from tomorrow, start applying. You will be surprised before the end of December you're hired. For you, you who is unserious, you don't need to bother. But for the serious guys who are listening to me, start applying. You will share your testimony in my comment section. I wish you the best of luck. And I would like you to drop a comment to say good luck to me as you do apply. Cheers. I hope you will find this very helpful. I hope this will be part of the reason why you get hired, as I've listened to this motivation today. And this is well based on research. Do not forget to share this content. Do not forget to comment. Do not forget to subscribe. Do have a great day. Cheers.